On behalf of the World Potato Congress, I would like to give you a very warm welcome for being in this webinar today, the first webinar of the World Potato Congress in 2023. So thanks so much to everyone that is today in this virtual room. Before going to the technical part, I would like to make some invitation to you. First, that you mark in your calendar for the next World Potato Congress, which will be held in Adelaide, Australia, from June 23 to 26, 2024, just 1.5 years from now. So start planning, please, today to go to this Congress in Australia from the World Potato Congress. Also, I would like to thank and greet our sustaining partners. There are 3 levels, platinum, gold, and silver. These companies that are shown in the screen provide a great support to the World Potato Congress in the work it does every day. So thanks to all of them. And I would like also to invite you to save another date, in this case for attending the Latin American Potato Congress organized by ALAP. And this will be held in Puerto Varas in Chile, very near where I am talking to you right now. So please save the date. This will be in March 28 to 31st, just 2 months from now. So run to save the date and go. We will welcome you there in March. And the last invitation is that if you have any question during the webinar, please write them down. In the bottom of your screen down, you will see a tab, questions and answers tab, where you can write your questions. And I will try to answer them at the end of the webinar. This will be recorded, so you may go later to the World Potato Congress website and see this presentation, and will be a version on PDF as well. So I will start then with the webinar. The title is Analysis and Projections of the Potato Breeding Programs in the South American Cone Countries. My name is Julio Kalazich. I'm talking to you from the city of Osorno in South Chile. When I mention countries in the Southern Cone countries, I refer to Argentina, Uruguay, Brazil, and Chile. Those are the countries that I will be talking today about the breeding programs. They are located in the southern tip of South America, the southern part in the world. When I mention the countries and the potato breeding programs, they are run by the institutions that I am showing in the screen: INTA, Embrapa, INEA Uruguay, and INEA in Chile. Those institutions are public institutions, and they are the so-called National Agricultural Research Institutes, NARS, and they belong to the ministries of agriculture of each country. They are independent institutions from each other. And I will be referring to today about the breeding program of these 4 institutions. And I would like to thank my colleagues from the 4 institutions for providing me the information that I'm going to share with you today. So thanks so much to all of them for that, and also for reviewing the PowerPoint. Dr. Cecilia Bedogni from INTA, today the director of this program, before Dr. Marcelo Huarte until 2017. Dr. Arione da Silva is in charge of the program in Embrapa. Dr. Matias Gonzalez, today and previously Dr. Francisco Villaró until 2018. And in Chile, Dr. Manuel Muñoz. Previously, I had the privilege to direct this program, and I'm currently at Universidad le Los Lagos in Osorno in Chile, where I'm talking to you now. Yeah, so thank you very much to all of them. And I will provide now some information on the potato and some figures to give a context to the breeding programs. So first, about population. The biggest country in the region, of course, is Brazil with 214 million people, then Argentina, Chile, and Uruguay in the same order. In the case of the hectares hectares planted, Brazil, more than 100,000 hectares, then Argentina, Chile, and Uruguay in that order. And the harvesting of these potatoes, Brazil harvests over 3.8 million tons, Argentina 2.4 million, Chile a bit over 1 million, and Uruguay 90,000. If we can see there in the screen the differences the country have in as far as consumer preferences for skin color. You see that Argentina and Brazil prefer mostly yellow skin, and Uruguay and Chile mostly red. So big differences between the countries. As far as human use of the potatoes, fresh dominates the consumption. But Argentina and Brazil they processed quite a bit of potatoes. However, there is a lot of room still for adding more value to the production in our countries. And regarding export and import of potatoes expressed as fresh equivalent, in 1,000 tons, we see that Brazil, Uruguay, and Chile imports quite a substantial amount of potatoes with regard to their own production. Brazil imports an additional 20%, Uruguay an additional 60%, and in the case of Chile, about 30% more of what is produced in the country is imported. All of that is imported as processed potatoes, as French fries mainly. Chile, for instance, imports $140 million in French fries. In the case of Argentina, I put it in negative figure to mean that the potatoes go off the country. So about 100,000 tons of potatoes, fresh equivalent, are exported mainly to the other three countries as also French fried potatoes. But there is a lot of room for improvement to do more at home in processing. And now regarding the objectives of the 4 breeding programs, I will refer to this 4th program as a G4 from now on to easiest to talk and write. And is to develop varieties for the national and international markets. This is the main objectives. And the size of the program can be judged by the number of genotypes. We call it also seedlings. Those are new genotypes that are produced every year in each of the countries. So it's a fair amount of potatoes of the new material they evaluate every year. Argentina is the biggest program, then Brazil and Uruguay and Chile about similar size of 25,000 seedlings a year. 170,000 is a big amount by any mean in any program in the world. So a lot of evaluation in the region. And now I will start by analyzing each one of the breeding programs, starting by INTA in Argentina. You see there the map of Argentina. I will use the pointer here, if I may. I can use the, sorry, the pointer. Okay. You see those 4 circles there mean the main areas of potatoes, the brown circles. The names are down in the screen, and these numbers represent the latitude from 23 to 54, and this is a very ample stretch of latitudes where you can find many differences in environment, in day length, etc. So it's very important, and they evaluate in all over this amplitude of latitudes. The breeding program is located in south of Buenos Aires, in the city of Balcarce, and from there they evaluate everywhere in the country. So the breeding program characteristics of the program from INTA, they produce, as we already mentioned, 75,000 seedlings a year. A big amount, a main portion of that is devoted to crosses for variety development. They use mainly tetraploid progenitors, also indigenous progenitors. Indigena is tetraploid, but short day adapted. In the case of tuberosum, it's a long day adapted. That's the difference between the two. And 20% of these seedlings are to make a parallel program. We call it pre-breeding with diploid native wild species. In this case, Solanum commersoni is a local wild species in all this region, and for bacterial wilt. And the pedigree method is the one used by this program. Like I would say, every program, most modern program in the world use this method. And they also use marker-assisted selection, MAS, for PBY resistance. Is a very good help from the marker-assisted selection. They select in all these locations I mentioned already, and they have a partnership, or had until very recently, a partnership with McCain Foods to developing processing varieties. McCain is a company that produces French fried potatoes, so this is the kind of varieties they are looking for with this partnership. And they multiply their varieties with their own program, by INTA program, but also with seed farmers. Now, the main objectives for developing the varieties. They are trying to select two types of varieties, one for fresh consumption and also for processing. In the case of processing, they select varieties for French fries and chips, and just a minimum explanation for the rest of the talk. When French fries and chips are, even though both are fried potatoes, but the type of tubers they need is very different. French fries are long tubers, and chips are round, so totally different varieties. And also fresh could be, in the case of Argentina, we see down below is oblong type. So very different, but sometimes we will see it later. Some varieties may do well for both purposes. They look for high yields in the varieties. The tubers must be only yellow skin and also yellow flesh. As I said, oblong in shape and smooth skin. Those characteristics are, even though seem trivial, but are very important for the consumer, for the market. And earliness, they are looking for varieties of 100 days or less. And when we talk about factors that affect the growing the potatoes, the varieties should have tolerance to drought, and they have to have also rusticity. We refer to rusticity when a variety is able to do well in harsh conditions, low fertility in the soil, less water, less pesticide, etc. And today, for climate change, is a very important characteristic to have that. So you will see all the programs are looking for that. And we mentioned biotic stresses. The main problems affecting potatoes in Argentina, all the region, and in the world really, is late blight. So they look resistant for late blight, also PBY and leaf roll, the viruses, and bacterial wilt there, and root knot nematode. Those are the main problems they look to have resistance in their varieties, and big problems everywhere in the world. Now, I'm showing here the results of this program from INTA. They have registered more than 25 varieties, and since they are working. And as you see, all the varieties are yellow or white or pale color of the skin, the same with the flesh. And several of the varieties are double purpose, fresh and French fries. Also, they produce what they call little potatoes, or papines in Spanish would be small potatoes or little potatoes. And one variety, Pampeana, is good also for puree. And in the past, they have also very important varieties in Argentina. Many will remember Winkle Mag or Achirana Inta. Achirana was even more important outside of the country. International Potato Center distributed this variety all over the world, and especially in Asia, it had a great importance with thousands of hectares of 100,000 hectares of potatoes, especially in China and other countries in Asia. From all these varieties, my colleagues say that Neuen Inta is the most promising. This variety is for fresh and has high yield, very rustic variety. I explained already what it means. Good resistance for late blight, and also has been registered in Honduras. They also have released, in this partnership with McCain Foods, they released the variety Brava Inta in 2020. It's a rather very new variety, so still is in the process of seed multiplication and may come to the market soon. And if I can make a summary of what has done this program and the varieties in the market and the projections, I say that today the national varieties have a greater use in familiar agroecological units. You know, climate change and everything is doing this. Farmers are going to more agroecological units, and because of their good adaptation and because of the rusticity I talked already about. So they play a relevant role in food security and sovereignty. And INTA varieties today cover more than 5% of the market, and the main variety today in Argentina is Spunta from the Netherlands, pretty kind of old variety already. And as I mentioned, Neuen is the main variety for them, and Brava Inta, I'm making summary again, so repeating this, and Brava is the variety developed with McCain, together with McCain. And INTA has signed several material transfer agreements with different countries. And there is one agreement that have been made within all G4 countries, and I will be mentioning in every one. I will be talking more of this at the end. So this is what I had to show you for INTA. Now Embrapa, Embrapa, the main office for this program, the head of the program is down in Rio Grande do Sul, the state of Rio Grande do Sul, in the city of Pelotas, where is located Dr. Arione. But they also had two other places in Brasilia and Canoinhas in Santa Catarina. All these three places, they do breeding, I mean, test material, etc. And from each one, they go to different areas. The yellow color in this map shows that this is a tropical and subtropical environments for potato production. And the brown color in the map means a more temperate climate for potatoes. Unlike Argentina, they go a very ample stretch of latitudes from 13 degrees south to 31 degrees south latitude. The characteristics of this breeding program, they produce every year 50,000 seedlings, use only tuberosum terploids as parents. They do in a parallel program a pre-breeding for bacterial wilt. They use the pedigree method, and also this they make use of molecular markers for PBY resistance. The selection is done in all these places I showed already, and they make the seed increase by licensed seed producers. And they have signed two agreements for local breeding, one with the Potato Association of Brazil, the farmers that are in this, in Portuguese is ABA. More than 50% of the potatoes in Brazil belong to this organization. And also they are working with Ben Brazil, the biggest French fry company in Brazil. The main objectives for developing varieties, like in Argentina, they go for these two types of uses, fresh and processing, and the same French fries and chips. They look for high stability and yield in their varieties, and they look for different colors of skin and flesh, like yellow, that's the main preference in the country, red, yellow, skin and flesh. And for chips, they look for yellow or white. And the skin, this is very important in Brazil, very smooth skin. And in the case of stresses, they look for heat and drought tolerance for abiotic stresses due to the fact that most potatoes, as I mentioned, are in the tropics or subtropics. And biotic stresses, they look also like in the case of Argentina, PBY, late blight and early blight, common scab, and bacterial wilt. Very important problems, not only in Brazil, but everywhere in the world where cultivate potatoes. The results in terms of varieties, they have released 6 varieties to date. All of them are also, most of them are for double purpose, fresh and French fries. Others are for fresh and organic. We see 2 varieties here. One is strictly for chips and one strictly for fresh. And so you see that only 2 of the 6 are red, so it shows the preference of the country, of course. And the main variety for Embrapa today is Camila. You see the skin very bright and this is very important for the market in Brazil. And in the case of, I mean, to make a summary of these results and the projections of the program, in 2022, last year, the biggest area for the Embrapa varieties was Camila, which covered 6,500 hectares, 5.6% of the area, plus what made other varieties. And it's expected that Embrapa varieties in this partnership with Ben Brazil will provide varieties very soon to the market. Also, Embrapa is going for a stronger strategy for seed production to increase the market share. This is very important. It's been very important for all breeding programs to have strong seed programs as well as the breeding programs to do this multiplication very rapidly. They have these 2 agreements with Ben Brazil and ABA, as I mentioned, and also they are signatories of this G4 agreement with the other countries of the Southern Cone. This is what was Embrapa in the case of INEA from Uruguay. Uruguay, even though you see only 3 degrees latitude in amplitude, you see a lot of differences in environment between one or other production area. The program is located in the city of Las Brujas, near Montevideo. And the characteristics, there is the 2 breeders, Dr. Villaró and Dr. Gonzalez. 20,000 seedlings a year they are producing as a number of genotypes, use also the pedigree method, and as well as the other 2 programs, they use molecular markers to assist the selections for PBY. They are using this since 2004, a lot of time since they use this. And they do selection for 2 crops per year in spring and autumn. And this is a very difficult thing to do, to select varieties for these 2 purposes. They also are pre-breeding. They do pre-breeding for, especially for bacterial wilt. They also use Commersoni and other species like Chacoense. Those are wild native species of the southern cone of South America. And the validation and multiplication is in agreement with seed companies. The objectives in the difference with the other 2 programs is that in this case, they do not select for processing, only for fresh market and for different uses. They go for stability, for yield and quality between years and seasons. They look for different colors of skin and flesh. They look for red and yellow, as shown here, but also for red skin and white flesh is important in Uruguay, and also yellow. And tubers, we'll see the varieties in a minute, oblong, smooth skin, and they look for varieties of 90 days, very short season varieties. And they also look for heat and drought tolerance, and also resistant to late blight and early blight, PBY and leaf roll, two viruses very important in the region and in worldwide, and common scab, bacteria common scab, and also another bacterial wilt, which is one of the main variety diseases worldwide. Arequita, Wabiyu, and Daiman are today the main. They produce 5 varieties in their history, but I'm showing the last 3 here, which are today the more important ones. Only for fresh, as I mentioned, boiling oven, and 1 for all type of home preparations. And from these varieties, my colleagues say that Inia arequita is the most important. It's 90 days, immune to PBY, resistant to alternaria, and tolerant to heat. Very important characteristics of the variety, could fit anywhere in the world with these resistances, because we can say it's a very, it has a lot of rusticity. And as a summary and projections, these varieties in 2022 occupy the 25% of the spring crop area and 10% of the fall crop area. Very important. And they are adopted by specialized and small scale farmers for their stability, playing an important role in food security, and especially in the warm season. And also because of easy of-seed multiplication. Remember that the variety just showed is immunity to PBY. And they have made a local agreement with the company Rusticas for multiplication of seed, which is very important, also validation of advanced clones, and with the objective to increase the share of these varieties in the market, especially for the fall crop, and boost the seed multiplication. And like the other 2 programs, they are signatories of this agreement with the 4 countries of the Southern Cone. And last but not least, as we say, I put Chile at the end because just to be fair. And this country is pretty long and thin, as you may see, but the potato area go from 30 to 54 degrees south latitude, and the location is, the breeding program is located in Osorno, the same city where I am talking to you right now. And I'm also going to talk about Chiloé Island, the importance of this island for long day adapted potatoes. I will be mentioning more of that at the end. And if we can make a summary of this program, and the characteristic of this program, I was too fast. 25,000 seedlings per year. Also, this program uses only tuberosum tetraploids as parents for variety development, but also they run a parallel pre-breeding program for late blight. Includes in this pre-breeding hybrids between tuberosum tetraploid and the mesum. The mesum is hexaploid from Mexico, but already there are available tetraploid material from these crosses. This program uses a pedigree method also, and also use markers, but not only for PBY, but also for golden nematode and late blight, for some of the late blight major genes that are available for marker-assisted selection. The selection is performed in several locations along this huge stretch of latitudes, and also some years go down to Magellan, to 54 degrees south latitude, to my homeland, by the way. And INEA also has a seed production program, and so the initial production of seed is made there, but also through its representative, a company called Consortium, Potato Consortium, and the Farmers Associated is made the other multiplication. The main objectives for developing the varieties are like the other programs: fresh and processing, French fries and chips, high yield adaptation, and in Chile, because of the preferences of the mainly for red and yellow, skin and flesh, but also yellow and yellow because of the international possibilities for the varieties. And also we now, this program is looking for red and purple. We'll see some pictures at the end. The side, the shape, oblong, mostly for fresh consumption, and smooth skin. Earliness is a little longer than the other countries, 120, 140 days, but because of climate change, every day farmers want shorter season material. Also look for tolerant to drought and resistant to late blight, PPY, golden nematode. Those are the three main problems this program is looking at, and all are major genes, so a little easier to work at breeding level. And the results, I'm showing there a sample of this variety. This program has released 16 varieties and in its history. As you see in this sample, 2 only are yellow skin, and the rest are red because of the preference in the country. And also double purpose. Most of the varieties just pointed to some. Pucará is early, one of the main early varieties in the country. And interesting to mention that Karoo is resistant to powdery scab. And well, I will be referring to Patagonia later. Porvenir and Yaiki are the 2 newest varieties. And from this sample of varieties, Patagonia is today the most important one. It's a high yield, low N requirement, nitrogen, very low nitrogen requirement. It's tolerant to drought and also resistant to late blight and common scab, and it's been registered in Panama. Porvenir is the 2 of the newest varieties. This is the one that has the most prospects. And also lately in 2022, INEA registered 3 colored, the one color called colored varieties, because they have color not only in the skin, but also color in the flesh, 1 red, red, and 2 purple. These were produced first for natural dyes. It's a good market for that, but lately also looking at puree and chips as processing as well. You may see more details of this in a book, bulletin edited by INEA, by Dr. Maria Teresa Pino. I worked with Dr. Pino for many years as well. And the summary of INEA breeding program and the projections: Patagonia was the main variety in 2022, shared about 16% of the market, was number 2, and other 3 varieties occupy an additional 7%. And the main variety is Asterix, a variety from the Netherlands, also a variety already may have more than 40 years, and is the main variety in the country. It's a red skin as well. The seed program I mentioned already. Seed programs play a key role in variety dissemination. No wonder why the programs, all the breeding programs we've seen have a seed program, and they do a lot about that. And INEA also wants to strengthen this program through its representative company, Potato Consortium, and the farmers that work with the consortium to have more seed available in the market, and in that way have more presence of the varieties in the market. This variety, I mean, Karoo INEA has been registered in Panama. Colleagues also told me that Patagonia has been registered in Panama nowadays. And the US company Seagood, from already 12, 15 years, is representing INEA varieties in the United States, Canada, and New Zealand. Also, INE has this joint agreement with the other G4 countries for variety development, and varieties are being tested in China now. This is what I have to share about the 4 breeding programs, but in the case of Chile, I wanted to also say a couple of words about Chiloé Island. There is the map of Chiloé. This Osorno, where I'm talking to you now, is there. So about 250, 300 kilometers distance to get to the island. The capital is down there, Castro. Chiloé Island, Chiloé potatoes is very important as a worldwide reservoir for long day adapted cultivated tetraploid potatoes. After the potatoes were domesticated in near Lake Titicaca and Peru, they disseminated all over Latin America and all over America, and then to the rest of the world. But one paper by Ames and Spooner mentioned that in early 1800, this germplasm went to Europe, to Spain, and then to the rest of Europe, and from there also to the rest of the world. And because the long day adaptation, very similar what you have in Europe and like long day of Chile is very similar. So was these varieties started going in the market. And today, most of the long day adapted potatoes in the world may be traced back to Chiloé Island potatoes, to this native germplasm. And Mr. Andrés Contreras, a professor, used to be a professor at Universidad Austral. He is no longer with us. And he did a wonderful job with this material. And he described 201 land races. And recently, Dr. Munoz and collaborators, today's director of the breeding program, published a paper describing or identifying 300 of these land races, and 5 of them are today in certification in Chiloé. I just want to show in the map, Puerto Varas is the place where a lab meeting will be held, and there is going to be an excursion to Chiloé. So the ones, I hope all of you go to the lab meeting and go to Chiloé to see more in detail about this. And the general conclusions for, and I'm finishing with this, is that in the Southern Cone countries, so these G4 countries, there have been made important advances in breeding and genetic improvement in general of the varieties, and for 2 purposes, fresh and processing. And also we've seen a lot of work done with the cultivated tetraploids and also native cultivated and native wild species. There has been also, there is available an ample availability of germplasm, advanced germplasm, adapted to these huge differences in environment we've seen here, and also because of the development of advanced technology. But many other countries, many other programs around the world have contributed to this, also to these breeding programs, as Cornell University, for instance, International Potato Center, and also the programs of the region itself. We have worked very much exchanging genetic resources and training. For instance, tissue culture method, SA, just there was a webinar in October of the World Potato Congress on this, developed by INTA. They gave it to all of these programs for free, and also molecular techniques, etc. And you allow me just, please, 1 minute. I guess my professor, Dr. Bob Plaisted, is in the audience, in this virtual audience. So what a privilege to have Dr. Plaisted in the audience. He, besides being my professor at Cornell, he was also professor of Francisco Villaró and Marcelo Huarte and many others in the region. And is also present Mr. Ken Paddock, and work with Dr. Plaisted side by side, and we learned a lot from them. And so thanks for being here. And I couldn't go without saying this. And thank you very much to them, and also to the other institutions that have provided so much help to this region. And continuing with this, there is strong competition with foreign varieties within the varieties, especially from Netherlands, Germany, France, US, Canada, etc. However, somehow these programs have managed to compete quite well. But we think that stronger seed productions may be needed to do better. And also, it's going to be needed because of climate change. And this is a really serious matter in the whole world. Adjustment to the crop agronomy will have to be made worldwide to face climate change. And so we have to lower the carbon footprint of in general, but potatoes as well. And so we have to produce potatoes and everything with less inputs, less chemical fertilizer, less pesticide, we will have less water available, of course. And because of the results I've shown, seems to me that the G varieties, at least for now, are better prepared for that. We have talked about rusticity and everything. And also the pandemic and the wars going on in the world have told us that food security is a serious matter, and we have to talk about that. And so this program also play a key role in food security and in sovereignty in our countries. And finally, the G4 breeding programs show enough maturity to explore in a stronger way the international market. I think the varieties deserve that, and this agreement signed recently may help on that direction, and that was signed under the umbrella of Processur institution that is from the Southern Cone countries. So this is what I have to show you about the breeding programs of the Southern Cone countries. But before we go to the questions and the answers I can provide, I would like to remind you again that please save the date for June 2024 in Adelaide, Australia, for the next World Potato Congress there. Also, thank again to our sustaining partners because of great support they provide to the World Potato Congress, and save the date for the ALAP meeting in Puerto Varas. Welcome there 2 months from now. And finally, then we'll go to the questions, and I hope I can provide answers. And I will stop sharing now. So I can see some questions here. One question from Ana Panta says about the colored bread varieties, are them only Solanum tuberosum or have other species genes? I would say that in the case of the Chilean program, they are exclusive. I would say, yeah, tuberosum. They are not. I think it's involved also some native material from Chile, from tuberosum tetraploids, but also varieties brought from other countries. Cornell, for instance, they have 2 color varieties, and I think some of them also come from that program. I hope I have answered that, but all, of course, if necessary, the thing is if we go to Indigena or other sources, the adaptation to long days is an issue, but if we can do pre-breeding or material from International Potato Center that may be adapted, probably yes, the program will be using that. There is a question from Thomas Smith Bauer about the figures regarding market outreach. They say why some of the programs are more effective than others in the market. I wouldn't say that. I'm not sure if that is effectiveness or what. In some cases, varieties. We see this all over the world. We see this with the plastic Burbank in the United States, or Binge in Europe, or other old varieties in England. Are very difficult to to break down. We can say so. And so it's, I think it's a matter of time, and sometimes depending on the objectives of each program, I think what the Brazilian program is a very young program, is being in this since not too many years. And so I think all the programs, and also they play a very important role, as I said, in food security, and now more than ever, I would say. And these varieties, I have no doubt, will play every day a more important role in the market because of the better adaptability of this environment due to the climate change. I hope I have answered that question. There is one question here, Vicente Laborde, one of my students. Why in Argentina the consumers prefer only yellow skin potatoes? They don't cultivate red skin potatoes? Thank you. Well, it's the same question. The same question one can make about why in Chile only reds. It's just a consumer preference. The market is very tricky sometimes. I remember also in Uruguay, red skin was the main dominated, but then started with yellow. And in Chile, we think that still we can do something else with the yellow skin, but it's just a consumer preference. I don't have other answer for that. I'm not sure is that is can say more about that. It's really, it's a marketing thing also. Yeah, in our countries, the middle market people play a role there, and so the people just buy potatoes what they have to buy, and sometimes it's difficult to break that. There is another yeah, similar variety to why the programs, sorry. Do you think exists a difference between the active varieties generation programs and the prevalence of foreign potatoes in the markets? For example, in Chile, I'm not sure if I understand that, but yeah, I mentioned there that in Chile, not too many years ago, India varieties were doing very well in the market, but suddenly they went down. And this is mostly, I would say, because of seed availability. That's why I mentioned that all the countries are trying to do more on seed production to have more seed availability in the market. And that sometimes makes a huge difference between a variety that is seed available and other that farmers look for that and don't have more. So I think there are no more questions. No, I don't have more questions. Here's another one from the previous question was done by my colleague Mauricio Molina at Universidad de Los Lagos. Rick Bailey is asking, some of my friends growing seed potatoes here in Canada due to the finances are switching from seed to processing potatoes. It is a problem on your area. Well, it's a good question. Yeah, in the case of our countries, in Chile, for instance, we had a company that was processing French fried potatoes, and then it went out of business because we have import French fried potatoes from all over the world, including, Belgium, Netherlands, Argentina, Brazil, Brazil, no, Canada, US. So it's not easy to compete, especially in French fries is a very, the difference between losing and winning is very, very short. So I would say that, and in the case of potato chips, there is just a few companies in Chile, one that dominates and other that share a small amount of the market. And in this case, Frito-Lay, they bring their own varieties. So that is the case for most of the French fries companies, that they bring sometimes their own varieties. It's more difficult to do better there. There is one very good question. Caroline Marquez Castro from Embrapa. Hi, Caroline. What do you think about diploid breeding in South-Cone countries? Wow, great question. I think it's room for that. I think it would be nice that the program start doing something around the diploid, you mean hybrid breeding. I think you refer to that. I have been talking to that to my colleagues many years now, and I think, yeah, if I had some finance and students, I would available to do that. I will work on diploid breeding. No question about that. Yes, I will do it. Yeah. Rick Novi. Hi, Rick. What are emerging diseases and pests in the G4 that are becoming more problematic? Well, emerging diseases in the Southern Cone countries, I mentioned, I think, the more important ones. Late blight is always an emerging disease because it's changing the genetics, and so we have to be very alert on that. But if I would say, you see that all countries were working in bacterial wilt, I think that is a very, very difficult problem, and is also an emerging disease, I would say. In the case of Chile, this is a quarantine, still a quarantine problem. Is in South Chile in some areas, but it's quarantined. So we have to be very, very alert on that. In the case of Brazil, Uruguay, and Argentina, they cultivate potatoes, even their seed, in areas, pretty even hot areas, which in our case in Chile is, we can see symptoms of bacterial wilt in the field. That is even more problematic. And PBY also is, I would say, an emerging disease, always because of change in races. And since the last 10 or so more years, it's been a problem. I have a couple of more minutes. I hope I have answered Rick. What role, Paola Gallero, what role or perspective you see for pre-breeding with potato wild relatives from the Southern Cone, not only for bacterial wilt resistance, but for the other traits? Oh yes, absolutely. I mentioned only a few wild relatives, but We know Commersoni, Chacoense have good resistance to many other problems. So yes, the problem is getting enough resources to work on all of these problems. It's a problem sometimes, but sorry, but yes, definitely is the way to go as pre-breeding. I think Uruguay, for instance, is pretty near of getting something in bacterial wilt. Other question is, how successful have been the breeding programs in South Cone using the mass for selection of PBY? I think we mentioned that in the case of Uruguay, they have been using this since 2004. They have released already one variety, Argentina. I'm not sure if they have, I think, advanced clones that also have good resistance. In the case of INEA in Chile, this program also have worked with this mass selection for many years, but not variety. I see. Okay, we have one variety. One, I said, INEA has one variety already registered that has also PBY immunity. So it's coming. I think it's being very successful. Are the same markers used worldwide? And I think this would be the last, sorry, there are more questions. Giuseppe Mandolino from Italy. Hi, Giuseppe. How important is in your country the germplasm maintenance issue? Very important. I think the breeding program of INEA and all the other countries have in vitro maintenance of all advanced material and varieties. And also in Chile, there is, I mentioned the native germplasm is INEA has, and also Universidad Austral has good care of this material. So yeah, it's very, very important to keep this. And the role of wild species in breeding is very important. The only issue is funding. And we don't have more time. We have the other meeting coming at 12, but you have my email in the, this will be available. So please write me and I will be able to answer all the questions. Thank you so much to all of you for being present today. And I hope this show to help to you understand a bit better what is being done in the Southern Cone countries in potato breeding. Thank you very much. I have to go now. Thank you to all. Bye.